Many anime don't get dubbed into English, which often results in their popularity in English-speaking countries to be limited, despite what some people who are favoring subs might say. But some anime have quite the opposite fate. They get an English dub, but said dub doesn't end up seeing the light of day in most places and eventually it gets lost to time. In this video I will go over 3 such examples where a series was dubbed into English but was barely shown anywhere and it hasn't been available anywhere for decades. I will only include series where all English dubs are lost, since plenty of anime have had several English dubs and only some of them are lost while others are available. I will likely make a future video about those anime since there's a lot to cover. Before we go further, I just like to clear one thing up. Technically, these anime aren't lost, or the word lost isn't the best thing to describe them. The more correct term would be unavailable. However, we have no idea in what state the dub is now. Maybe it's still good, maybe it deteriorated or got wiped, and we might end up with a very unpleasant surprise in the future when we find out that certain or even all episodes are in either poor quality, damaged, or fully lost due to decades-long neglect. Yes, neglect can have consequences, as seen in many old shows where episodes are simply gone. So without further ado, let's begin with the first series. Heidi, the Girl of the Alps. Based on the novel Heidi, this is a very faithful adaptation and it is one of the several classical children's books and stories which got an anime adaptation. This was a very common thing in the 70s until the late 90s. If you've ever heard of the World Masterpiece Theater, then you know what I'm talking about. Although one should note that Heidi is not technically part of that series, but of another which is the forerunner for it. One more interesting fact. Miyazaki was working on this series. Yes, that Miyazaki from Julbi Studios. Now back to Heidi. It's a classic in many countries, produced in 1974 and it still airs in many places to this day. It however is quite unknown in the English speaking world. In fact, the only proper release it got there was in form of a film which consists of the 52 episodes of this anime edited into an hour-and-a-half long movie. So that isn't a good way to watch the series. The whole series, however, was dubbed into English and it was shown only in one place, and that is on Cartoon Network, India. And apparently it was quite successful there, it even got some reruns. This said, practically nothing is known about this dub. We don't know which studio made it and in which country it was made. In fact, some people question this dub even existed until parts of it were uploaded on YouTube. The recording has a very bad audio quality, but it proves that the dub indeed exists. Furthermore, the dub is actually surprisingly good since it's faithful to the original and even uses the original soundtrack, and the voice actors are also doing a fine job. I'll play a few bits here. I apologize in advance about the audio. I tried my best fixing it, but the recording is sadly damaged and it is really beyond repair.
Worrying too much is not good for your health either, Miss Rottenmeier. The best thing we could do is just wait a while and see what happens.
Maybe you're right. Perhaps that's the best thing to do right now.
This one is P. Now this one is Z. X is right here. I'm afraid you're still confused about your letters, Adelheid, so you need to familiarize yourself with them. Let's leave them for a while.
My father? He's coming home? When?
He'll be arriving tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow? He'll be arriving tomorrow? Do you think your father loves you a lot? Huh? Well, of course, Heidi. He loves me very much. How do you know? Are you sure? I think so. He always tells me he loves me very much.
I did read some comments online where people said that you could hear in the accents that the people aren't native English speakers, but I don't think it's very noticeable and you can certainly understand the voice actors. They don't have a thick accent, unlike what's the case with some other English dubs made in Asia. As an example, let's listen to the English dub of Chibi Maruko-chan, which was also shown in India.
What does she want? I'll just go answer her call and come. Maruko, please wait.
Yeah, Heidi's dub is way better than that, and it's a pity that it's unavailable. This likely won't change in the future since English dubs made in Asia rarely get released even over there, let alone be released in the Western world. The only such example I can think of is Cardcaptor Sakura, where the dub was made in Canada and was heavily censored and people really didn't like it, and there was also another English dub made in Hong Kong, which was very faithful to the series, and eventually it got released in the Western world. It would be really nice if Heidi would get this treatment, honestly. Next series. Minky Momo, or the Magical World of Gigi. Yes, it's a magical girls anime, and it is one of the first magical girls anime. It was an instant success in Japan, and you see references to it even to this day. It also got an English dub made by Harmony Gold in 1984. Said dub, however, despite being made in the US, was never shown there. Instead, it aired in countries like Australia, Israel, Malaysia, and some other countries in Asia, as well as being used for several international dubs. So the story is about a magical girl who travels to Earth, and there she helps others by using her magical powers. Sounds very innocent so far, and well, it will change soon. In order to blend in, she uses her magic to brainwash a couple and the people around them so that they think that she's their daughter and that she was always there. A rather weird premise, but aside from this, most of the series is tame in the beginning. Each episode is about Gigi coming across a situation where somebody needs help, be it a human or an animal, and at one point she even prevents a nuclear war from starting. Well, that escalated quickly. Either way, she then uses her powers to transform into an adult version of herself who, depending on the situation, always knows exactly what to do and save the day. For the most part, things get quickly resolved, but another problem happened at the end of the series, which wasn't related to the fictional world but to the real world. Despite the good ratings, the sponsor, a toy company, pulled out since the toys underperformed. This was basically a death sentence to the anime. So how did the animators react? Well, they made a truck that transported children's toys run over their protagonist, killing her. Well, that's one way to scar the kids who watch this for all eternity. Heck, even the adults, since this really comes out of nowhere. And references to this are still seen today, since a truck unexpectedly running somebody over is a trope these days in the world of anime. It also doesn't help that shortly after this episode was aired, 5 earthquakes happened in Japan, which were rather mild, but still some people consider this to be a sign that the series is cursed, and maybe they are onto something, because when the final episode was aired, another earthquake happened. And this time it was a strong one, and then when the series got rerun, there was once again a major earthquake the day the last episode was aired. I don't believe in curses, but that is certainly weird. So while killing your protagonist on a kids show was an epic middle finger to the sponsor, it didn't mean the end of the story in the end, since they seemingly got to an agreement, so extra episodes were made and even a whole new series was created in the future. Gigi also gets revived after her funeral, and this time she is born as the couple's real daughter. And about a dozen episodes happen after this. Harmony Gold only dubbed 52 of the 65 episodes, and yes, the truck episode was one of them, and it was one of the few cases where they actually censored the anime. Gigi was still killed in the Harmony Gold version, but they toned down what actually happened, although the context remains the same. And in all honesty, from what I've seen and compared, the dub aside from the name changes is rather well made. Not much was censored, so it was way better than what you would get for instance from Saban or 4Kids. Furthermore, the next 2 episodes consist of flashbacks to what previously happened, and there the truck scene was left intact even in the Harmony Gold dub. The original Japanese version already shortened it, but it showed the scene that was cut in the Harmony Gold version the first time, but on the second time it was fine. But you might ask yourself now, wait a second, how did I see episodes of the dub when it's apparently lost? Well, some episodes are available from recordings that got uploaded on YouTube, and this includes the truck episode. They said at one point the whole dub was online on Amazon, but you'd had to purchase it to watch it. Since that would cost a lot and probably not many people bought it, it's no longer available, and apparently nobody noticed it in time. Only the first part got saved by somebody, with the remaining episodes becoming unavailable again. Furthermore, some other episodes did appear randomly online, and as of making this video, the following episodes can be found online if you know where to look. The rest are completely unavailable so far. Out of the 3 listed animes in this video, I think this one is probably the most likely to be released properly in the future, and hopefully then it won't become lost again. At one point it was also stated that it would get a proper DVD release, but so far we didn't hear any updates, so that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. Next series. The last anime featured in this video is quite extra, because it didn't get dubbed into English once, but twice, and both dubs are actually lost now. One dub was made in the US, the other one was made in the Philippines, and it's none other than Super Pig. It's a magical girl anime and a parody of said genre at that. The protagonist finds one day a small talking alien pig on Earth, and he offers her a way to become a superhero. She of course accepts this, but it comes with a catch. Instead of turning into a magical girl with superpowers, she turns into an anime Peppa Pig with superpowers. And she absolutely hates it. Anyway, to wrap up what happens in this anime, she needs to do good deeds, and for each good deeds she gets rewarded with pearls, and she needs to collect 108 of them so she can be granted a wish, and then she can finally become an actual magical girl. However, if she abuses her powers, she will lose pearls, so it's a karma system. And in case somebody finds out she's Super Pig, she will have to stay a Super Pig forever. Of course, a giant flying pig that can talk with superpowers randomly appearing doesn't go unnoticed, and she becomes the sensation of her town, which is quite ironic because she absolutely doesn't like her Super Pig alter ego. Things also take unexpected turns in the protagonist's private life, as well as those of the people around her, since in every episode something really ridiculous happens. Also, I have to give the series props for her not having the overdone love triangle which way too many series have. So you have the main girl Karen, then the boy she likes, then the alpha bitch class president who hates Karen, but not because she competes with her crush, but because the vain boy of the class likes Karen. But Karen dismisses his advances, and he also hates the class president. So that doesn't work out for her, which makes her very bitter. So you might think that Karen has no competition, but guess again, turns out this dude loves Super Pig. No, I'm not joking. Maybe for today's standards it doesn't seem too weird. I mean, it's still weird, but it doesn't seem too weird. But then again, these days we have a series like Magical Girl Aura. Which is weirdness on a whole new level. But let's not forget, this was made back in 1994, and unlike Magical Girl Aura, this one isn't a piss take, but just a parody poking fun at the genre, but also staying true to the genre at the same time. Honestly, it's quite a good anime, and it's in fact one of the first anime I remember watching on TV. I personally didn't bother with most Magical Girl anime, but Super Pig was fun. It was really fun, even though I don't remember much of it, but I do remember watching it every morning for quite a while. This anime was shown in a lot of countries, one big exception being most of the English speaking countries, despite most of the international dubs being based on the Saban dub. Yes, all 51 episodes were dubbed into English twice, as I already said. You can find a few episodes of the Philippine dub, but the Saban dub, good luck finding that. I personally don't think that it was ever available anywhere. The reason for that is probably because it was only shown in 2 countries, New Zealand and the Netherlands, with subtitles before they decided to dub it themselves. Also 2 episodes were shown in the UK as part of a special broadcast apparently, but that's all the screen time the series got there. So since then it has been completely unavailable, since it has never been on any streaming platform or had any kind of home media released. This also means that we have no idea in what condition the nearly 30 years old dub currently is. A pity in my opinion, since I'm quite sure this anime would have had a small cult following in the English speaking world if it was shown there, since from what I gathered it did actually quite well back in the day. It might not be for everybody, but it certainly stands out, and I personally really liked watching it. So these are 3 anime with lost English dubs. Do you think we will ever see them again? I personally think that the last 2 will probably one day be released, while the dub from Heidi is likely never going to be seen again, unless it gets rerun in India and somebody records it. Either way, I think that all three could get released maybe by Discotheque Media. Highly doubt that they'll appear on Crunchyroll anytime soon. I think with Discotheque Media it's the best shot we will ever see them. So maybe if you go to the social media and tell them that you're interested, then that would probably help. They said these aren't the only 3 examples of lost English dubs. I will almost certainly make several videos like this one in the future, as well as videos covering banned and censored media in general. If you have any suggestions, tell me in the comments. If you like this video, click the thumbs up button and share it. Every interaction helps with the YouTube algorithm.